Competing cemetery proposals could reshape changes at the Alamo. The San Antonio city government jumps in to help shelter migrants. And a U.S. Senate race could feature 2 lawmakers with Alamo City connections. This is your Express Briefing podcast for Wednesday, April 3rd. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts. And get each day's top news and sports headlines delivered to your inbox at expressnews.com/newsletters. 2 competing requests to designate the Alamo as a historical Texas cemetery could change how the site is remembered. The Texas General Land Office wants to have the Alamo Church listed as a historic Texas cemetery, citing the names of 3 people buried there nearly a century before the famed 1836 battle, while another proposal from Native American groups seeks a much larger area be designated as a cemetery. While neither is likely to halt a planned $450 million public-private makeover of Alamo Plaza, depending on which concept is approved, the outcome could shape how much emphasis is placed on the history of the mission before the famous siege. Citing the Texas Health and Safety Code, Alamo officials had earlier contested a notice for an unknown cemetery filed by one of the tribal groups. But then in a proposal filed last week, the Land Office cited the names of a Canary Islander and 2 Native Americans listed in Catholic Church burial records as having been interred in the heavily visited limestone church. But the 52-page application leaves to speculation where others, including Spanish friars, soldiers, and indigenous people of the mission San Antonio de Valero, may have been buried outside the church on what is now the city-owned plaza. While Land Commissioner George P. Bush says the designation would help restore reverence and dignity for the Alamo and the 1836 battlefield, Ramon Vasquez, a leader in Native American groups that have clashed with the Land Office and one of 26 members of the Alamo Citizen Advisory Committee, says his group has a 70-page report documenting burials well outside the church. Though archaeological reports say 1,000 or more people could be buried in the plaza, experts have said it may be impossible to determine boundaries of one or more historic cemeteries, as people of the mission era were likely interred in shrouds without coffins. The city of San Antonio is now aiding Catholic Charities and the Interfaith Welcome Coalition through actions it calls surge support. After the nonprofits became overwhelmed by the influx of migrants arriving at San Antonio's bus station, Saturday the city government opened a new pop-up resource center at a former Quiznos across from the station. City officials say the resource center is a safe place to wait for migrants until their bus arrives, and also offers food, clothing, and activities for children. City officials and nonprofit stakeholders are now having group calls twice a day, and the fire department's medical van comes by twice daily to screen immigrants, many of whom have stress-induced illnesses like colds, fevers, and sore throats. The past few days, shelter has alternated from the Travis Park United Methodist Church, San Antonio Mennonite Church, Madison Square Presbyterian, and in some instances, Catholic Charities has even footed the bill for hotel rooms. The federal government says it's overwhelmed with the increasing number of Central American families coming across the border and presenting themselves to officials for asylum, and earlier this month began releasing both those who were in detention facilities and newly arriving immigrants. As a result, thousands of recently released migrants are coming through San Antonio on their way to cities across the country, with notices to appear in court for their first asylum hearing. In February, more than 76,000 migrant family members crossed the border through ports of entry and between them, and Customs and Border Protection officials say March's numbers are likely 100,000, a figure that's double the sum of March last year. Previously, the federal government wasn't giving the city or nonprofits regular notice of migrants being released, but now San Antonio's immigration liaison usually receives text messages from federal officials noting more migrants are on their way. And U.S. Representative Joaquin Castro's Senate candidacy could set up a clash between two veteran Texas politicians with San Antonio roots who have only known success in their careers. Latino leaders in Texas are pressing Castro to run, eyeing the potential of unseating John Cornyn and the likelihood that a competitive Senate race could boost Democrats as well as Hispanic candidates up and down the 2020 ballot. Several candidates are also already considering running to step into Castro's San Antonio seat. Castro says he is seriously considering running for Senate, but has given no timetable for making up his mind. 44-year-old Joaquin Castro is a four-term House member and the twin brother of Julian Castro, a former San Antonio mayor and Obama administration housing secretary, who is seeking the Democratic nomination for president. And that's your daily San Antonio Express briefing for Wednesday, April 3rd. Subscribe to this and other free content at expressnews.com/podcasts.